My name is Natalia Carter. 3 weeks before my younger sister's wedding, my parents invited me to a family dinner. The moment I walked in, 3 lawyers were already sitting at the table. My mother smiled and slid a stack of papers toward me.
"Sign these," she said.
I looked down. The documents would make me responsible for every dollar of my sister's $75,000 wedding loan. When I refused, my father slammed his fist on the table. "Your family, you'll pay whether you like it or not." I quietly smiled, turned toward the front door, and said only 5 words. "Honey, would you come in?" The room went completely silent, because the man who walked through that door was one of New York's top corporate attorneys. And everything changed. My name is Natalia Carter. I grew up in New York City. My parents had only one favorite child, my younger sister, Olivia. Every birthday, every holiday, every family celebration, Olivia got everything she wanted. I got excuses. When I graduated from college, my parents didn't even attend. But when Olivia dropped out after 1 semester, they bought her a brand new BMW to cheer her up. I stopped expecting fairness. Instead, I built my own life. I became a successful financial consultant in Manhattan. 2 years later, I married Daniel Carter. He was kind, honest, and one of New York's best corporate lawyers. My parents barely came to our wedding. But suddenly, 3 weeks before Olivia's luxury wedding, they couldn't stop calling me. "Family dinner. We miss you. We need to celebrate." Something felt wrong. When Daniel offered to come with me, I smiled.
"No,
I'll handle this." I had no idea walking into that house would become the biggest turning point of my life. The moment I walked into my parents' dining room, I knew this wasn't a family dinner. 3 men in expensive suits were already sitting at the table. Leather briefcases, stacks of legal documents, not a single plate of food. My mother smiled. "Sit down, Natalia Carter." I slowly pulled out a chair. One of the lawyers slid a thick folder toward me. "Please sign on the highlighted pages." I frowned. "What is this?" My father answered before anyone else could speak. "Olivia's wedding loan." I opened the first page. My heart stopped. According to the agreement, I would become personally responsible for every dollar of Olivia's $75,000 wedding debt if she failed to make the payments. I looked at my sister. She didn't even seem embarrassed. Instead, she smiled. "You make 6 figures. You won't even notice the money." I slowly closed the folder. "So you invited me here just to make me pay for your wedding?" My mother folded her arms. "You're the successful one. It's your responsibility to help your family." I looked directly into her eyes.
"No,
It's your responsibility to pay for the wedding you planned." The room instantly became tense. My father slammed his hand on the table. "You owe this family." I calmly replied, "I don't owe anyone my future." One of the lawyers cleared his throat. "Miss Carter, without your signature, this agreement has no legal effect." My mother's smile disappeared. She had expected me to sign without reading. Instead, I stood up. "I'm leaving." My father blocked the doorway. "You're not walking out until this is finished." The room fell silent. I reached into my purse, took out my phone, and made one call. "Honey, could you come inside now?" Less than 30 seconds later, the front door opened. A tall man wearing a navy blue suit walked into the dining room. It was my husband, Daniel Carter. He looked around the room, then at the documents. Finally, he smiled. "I'm Daniel Carter, corporate attorney. I also happen to be Love Queen's legal representative." The 3 lawyers at the table immediately recognized his name. One quietly whispered, "That's Daniel Carter." The attorney who wins almost every corporate case. The attorney opened a sealed envelope. Mrs. Eleanor Carter left a personal letter. He began reading aloud. To my beloved granddaughter, Natalia Queen, I always knew your parents would value money more than family. If they ever try to use you for financial gain, everything I own belongs to you, and only you. The room went silent. The attorney continued. My client's estate includes a luxury penthouse in Manhattan, an investment portfolio worth $18 million, 70% ownership of Carter Properties, cash savings and trusts totaling $9.4 million. Olivia jumped to her feet. That's impossible, my father shouted. I'm her son. The attorney calmly adjusted his glasses. Your mother legally changed her will 3 years ago. There is nothing to contest. My mother's face turned pale. Then, the attorney played a recorded video from my grandmother. She looked directly into the camera. If you're watching this, then your parents finally proved me right. I watched them ignore you. I watched them favor Olivia. I watched them treat you like a bank account instead of a daughter. So, I made my decision. Natalia Queen, this inheritance isn't a reward. It's your freedom. Never let anyone who values your wallet more than your heart control your life. By the time the video ended, my mother was crying. My father couldn't even look at me. As Daniel and I stood to leave, my father quietly whispered, "We've lost everything." I looked at him calmly.
No.
You lost everything the day you stopped treating me like your daughter. Daniel opened the office door. Before we walked out, the attorney stopped us. Miss Carter, there's one final document your grandmother asked me to give you. I opened the envelope. After reading just one page, I looked at Daniel in complete shock. He whispered, "What is it?" I slowly smiled. My grandmother left me one final surprise. And it changes everything. I couldn't stop staring at the last page my grandmother had left for me.
Daniel looked at me.
What does it say? I took a deep breath. Then I smiled. My grandmother didn't just leave me her fortune. She left me control of the entire Carter Foundation. It was one of New York's largest charitable organizations. Its mission, helping young women pay for college, so they would never lose their dreams because of money. At that moment, I finally understood why Grandma had trusted me.
She didn't want me to become rich.
She wanted me to become the person my parents never were. 3 months later, the Carter Foundation held its biggest annual charity gala in Manhattan. More than 500 guests attended. Business leaders, judges, lawyers, journalists. Daniel stood proudly beside me. As chairwoman of the foundation, I walked onto the stage. The room erupted in applause. After thanking everyone, I made an announcement. Starting today, the Carter Foundation will provide 500 full college scholarships every year to students whose families cannot afford higher education. The audience stood and applauded. Many wiped away tears, because they knew this wasn't just charity. It was hope. When the event ended, my parents quietly walked toward me. For the first time in my life, they weren't asking for money.
They weren't asking me to sign anything.
My father looked at the floor. I spent years believing success was measured by wealth. I was wrong. The greatest thing I ever lost was my daughter. My mother's voice trembled. We don't deserve your forgiveness. But we're truly sorry. Olivia stepped forward. She held out a small envelope. Inside was a cashier's check. $75,000. She looked into my eyes. I canceled the luxury wedding. I sold my designer jewelry. I worked 2 jobs. This is every dollar we expected you to pay. I'm giving it back. Because it was never your responsibility. I looked at her for several seconds.
Then,
I quietly pushed the check back. Donate it. Olivia looked confused. To who? I smiled. To the scholarship fund. So, another young woman can go to college. Instead of paying for someone else's dream. Tears rolled down Olivia's face. She nodded. I will. That evening, Daniel and I stood on the balcony, overlooking the Manhattan skyline. The city lights stretched for miles. Daniel smiled. Do you regret refusing to sign those papers? I gently shook my head.
no.
If I had signed them, I would have lost money. But more importantly, I would have lost my self-respect.
He wrapped his arm around me.
You didn't just change your own life. You changed hundreds of others. I looked toward the stars and whispered, Thank you, Grandma. Because the woman who believed in me had given me something far greater than millions. She gave me the courage to finally believe in myself. And I realized the greatest revenge isn't winning an argument. It's building a life so meaningful that the people who underestimated you are forced to respect the person you've become.